So most of this month's episode was recorded on Sunday, August 25th, but we thought it was important to recognize the enormous contribution of and pay tribute to Terrance Dicks, who unfortunately passed away last week at the age of 84. So very sad news to report.
I don't know whether shock is the right word, but it's just, he's such a huge figure, isn't he? And wasn't it? It just seems wrong to use the past tense in Doctor Who. And it's not just Doctor Who. As I think I've said on the show before, there are so many people in the UK and around the world that learnt the joy of reading through his books. Because they wrote so many Doctor Who books. And, like in the UK, if ever you see anyone using the word capacious, you can go up to them and say, "Did you read Terrance Dicks when you were a kid?" The answer is yes. It's such a wonderful force, wasn't he, for literacy and such a prolific output.
And such an incredible ambassador for the show, too, and a champion for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So in addition to being the showrunner with Barry Letts for almost the entirety of the Pertwee era, he contributed significantly to the Second Doctor, Fourth, and Fifth Doctor eras as well. He's also written for Space 1999 and Moonbase 3 and The Avengers, and you can't really understate his contributions to the television series itself. They're vast. He helped create Sarah Jane Smith and Joe Grant, and worked quite a bit to flesh out the Time Lords, just the whole concept of the Master and regenerations, and just building the template for multi-Doctor stories. The list just goes on and on.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many stories that are iconic that the not we know, and so many of them he has his fingerprints all over, even if he didn't actually write them. So, the one with the maggots, he was script editor. The dummies walking down various streets, he was responsible for those. And also the Five Doctors, which is so many people as the gateway drug into classic Doctor Who.
And he's inspired more than one generation's imagination. It's amazing to see the tweets and the posts and the tributes pouring in with memories from authors, from readers, from his coworkers on the show, and from fans.
Yeah.
When he was interviewed in Doctor Who magazine in 2016, he was asked how he'd want to be remembered, and he said, "I'd like them to say he was a professional. And that's what I am. Yes, I'm a professional."
Yeah. Well, that's so lovely.
I was fortunate enough to meet him just once at Gallifrey 1's 25th anniversary convention back in 2014. And after a panel he was on, I went up and thanked him for the work he did on the show, and just shook his hand. And such a presence.
Yeah, no, he really was. I only saw him in person the once, and there was just so many stories and just so much warmth and kindness, and and one of my favourite quotes from Doctor Who. It's not going to be a long quote, but it was something that I won't say I've lived my life by, but I remember first reading it when I was 9 and just going, this is a spirit, this is a good thing, which was from Robot, where he wrote, "There's no point in being a grown-up if you can't be childish sometimes." And it's just... his quotes there's just such lovely humour and such wonderful, crisp storytelling, and Thank you, Terrance.
He wrote 64 Target books, 10 original Doctor Who novels, and a Benny novel. He's written over 140 non-Doctor Who books, mainly in the children's literature young adult genre. And most recently he wrote 2 quick-read novellas featuring the 10th Doctor and Martha, as well as the novelization of the Sarah Jane adventure Invasion of the Bane back in 2007. And his final contribution to the show will be a short story in the forthcoming Doctor Who Target storybook, which is publishing at the end of October. He also wrote the 2 Doctor Who stage productions, both the Seven Keys to Doomsday in the 70s, featuring Trevor Martin as the first Fourth Doctor, and then The Ultimate Adventure in the 80s with the Third and the Sixth Doctors.
Of course he did, and I'd completely forgotten about that. But that's the thing, there's so much work that he did.
Yeah, I mean, he really is the definition of prolific.
Yeah. It's Terrance Dicks. Gosh, I mean, just you see all the stuff that Paul Cornell's been saying about how much of a mentor he'd been to him, and it's just, blimey. Blimey. But still, 84 was a good innings.
Yes.
I'd be happy with 84.
Yeah. The ultimate tribute, I think, was Stephen Moffat taking Terrance's words describing the Doctor from The Making of Doctor Who, which he co-wrote with Malcolm Hulke. The same words that Terrance said in the More Than 30 Years in the TARDIS Anniversary special, describing the Doctor as never cruel or cowardly, and really canonizing those words as the Doctor's mantra, used both in the 50th anniversary special as well as later in Capaldi's run and in his regeneration speech. But he says, he never gives in and he never gives up, however overwhelming the odds against him. The Doctor believes in good and fights evil. Though often caught up in violent situations, he's a man of peace. He is never cruel or cowardly. In fact, to put it simply, the Doctor is a hero. These days there aren't so many of them around.
Yeah.
The one, the only, the professional Terrance Dicks.
Thank you, Terrance.